At this time, we'll open public comment up and 2 minutes each. If you have any comments, now is the time.
Okay, so explain to us again what this is about today. I mean, I was under the impression you were gonna appoint a supervisor today.
No,
Okay,
it is exactly what it states, is I will make this comment only because this is public comment, this is not public comment and answer, question and answer. Because we'll discuss this when we get into the board, but we're gonna be discussing a policy that the board is going to adopt about how to handle board vacancies. And a process, a formal process of how we do this, so that it is fair for everyone.
okay. I thought that MTA had a process already, but, okay,
I will be discussing that during our board meeting.
okay.
Any other comment? All right, at this time, new business. Board vacancy policy. After contacting MTA and asking them for guidance of what we need to do, we have 45 days to fill the position. And their first thing asked is if we had a vacancy and appointment policy on the books, and I told them we did not, so they sent over a couple different examples. And this is one that was based on theirs. Kind of lays out the legality, authority, and the declaration of vacancy. It has what the public notice of the vacancy will consist of. You know, that within 10 business days of the acceptance of the resignation, the clerk and/or, you know, if it's not the clerk, will issue a public notice through the website or the posting in the township office. Optional, we can put it in, if we had like an email list, we could do an email blast if we had that, which we don't gather at this time. That's something we're looking at to do with the website eventually. Or we could choose to pay to put it in the paper if we wish, but that's an optional thing if we wanna keep it that way. It states that the notice must have the statement of vacancy, what the eligibility requirements are, is that they're a qualified elector of the township per MCL 201.3, what the statutory duties of the position is, and what the application deadline is, with giving a minimum of 10 business days from the notice. And then an overview of the appointment interview process. It has a spot in here for what the application process is that they have to complete a township board vacancy application, submit a letter of interest, and optional resume. There's an interview and evaluation procedure listed out in here, if anybody has any thoughts on this, you know, additions, don't like it, whatever. And kind of the criteria which each applicant would be evaluated on is: number 1, understanding of township government, 2, communication and leadership skills, 3, community involvement, 4, ability to work collaboratively, and 5, time availability and commitment. Those are the evaluation criteria. And there's also section 5, conflict of interest for sitting board members as applicants, and it goes through that as well. Then appointment and oath of office. The township board shall vote in an open meeting to appoint a qualified applicant within 45 days of the vacancy, and they must be a qualified elector. They have to be sworn in by the township clerk or other authorized officer, and will serve the remainder of the unexpired term or until the next general election as required by law. So that is the policy in a nutshell. Does anybody have any discussion on the policy?
Yes. Yeah, I think we should dissect this thing. I like everything up to the point of, I guess every one of us, up to a certain point when we were sworn in, had 0 township experience.
That was correct.
Other than sitting in meetings. I also think that putting this out there for the people, receiving names from people, that are interested, that's the end of it.
Yeah,
There shouldn't be
that's,
criteria for people to serve as our representatives. It should be only that you live here and you vote here.
Right, but when you have multiple candidates, how do you choose?
Let the people do it.
you can't, cause that's,
We
that-
can do it. If we don't do it in 45 days, there will be a special election and the people have a voice.
so you would rather leave
Yes.
it up to the people and cost the
Absolutely.
township $4,500?
Yes, they pay for this. I would absolutely rather let the people elect their own representatives. I'm not one of them. I said that I was interested. There's so many people that want in. I'm like, thank God. I am not gonna go for this position, so it has nothing to do with me.
But
No,
there's a
I'm,
required
Yes.
election that comes up anyway. So we appoint somebody basically to fill a gap until the election, so that we don't have to spend $4,500 on a special election.
Listen, we've spent money in this township on frivolous crap, and this is not frivolous.
no, but we're also setting something up for the future, so that there's, all this is setting up, saying, this is a process for,
That stifles the people's voice.
I don't think it does, because the Constitution gives this board the authority to appoint,
Yeah,
I don't want
It-
that authority.
but it's in the Michigan
but it's in the Michigan
constitutional-
Constitution. Lee, what are your thoughts?
Once again, I'm on Tim's side, because that's what I said. We're all elected by the people. They could have voted somebody over us, but the people voted us in. And I think it's only fair for the new supervisor, they have the right to vote. We can go through and see those that are qualified, but then we put the names out there and let them decide who they want. To me, that's only fair.
We
So-
gotta keep it fair, otherwise it looks like we're setting it up. And I know how this town operates, and I know the soul of the people that live in it. The second that we appoint somebody, no way.
It's
The
like
people appoint their own
our
elected
personal
officials,
feelings take
especially
place
this one.
over the people of the township.
Well, that's what this kind of does, is kind of takes it out of that, so that people, anybody who wants to do, they put a letter of interest that says, I mean, literally the letter can state, I'm interested in being the supervisor. The application is in,
It's just 5 questions.
no, it's not even that, it's 2 questions. It is their name, where they live, are they a qualified elector?
I
and-
get it, all that's good. Just the part where we put them in their position, that part has to go away. If
Respectfully,
it's a policy,
until the election,
But the
who's gonna
poli-
do the job? Like,
we can manage our own board until then.
like, that's a whole, like, 8 months.
You can run a meeting, she can run a meeting, he can run a
It's
meeting.
not just about running meetings,
I
there's more to the
understand.
supervisor's position than running
Dan put
meetings.
us in a bad spot, but the people still need to actually elect their own officials.
Then I guess, one thing I would like to do then is consult and find out what it will cost us and bring it back to the May board meeting then, if that's how, I mean, cause obviously,
But Andy, can we even do that? We have 45 days.
well, I guess that's one thing we're gonna have to find out, is what are the legalities of it and what are we bound by? Because from the guidance that I got from MTA, from within the law, was that this board has the responsibility to fill the position.
The
Within
MTA is
45
just a
days.
good guideline, they don't govern us. We do
No,
what we
they
want.
don't, and that's why this is states what pursuant for the policy is. And the Michigan constitutional law states that this board is to appoint somebody within
No.
45 days.
It says if we fail to, the clerk for the
But-
county will call a special election and we'll have one.
I guess the way I look at it is we were also elected to follow those laws, and that law says, as the 4 of us, that we are to have that authority, and we are to do that, to follow it.
Show me the law that says that.
That says the MCL that we are to appoint within 45 days.
No, that we have to. We don't have to.
We don't have to, it gives this board authority so that we can still function as a
The
township.
people have the
Because
authority
the
in this town,
reason-
not the board. The board serves at the pleasure of the people, and that's the difference.
That is true, we do all serve, because that's what we're here, is to serve to the community.
Mhm.
So I guess at this point, then, what do we do, concede and,
We
leave
put it
it?
to the people. And we do the best we can to manage a township that already has policies in place until that day comes.
That already has we didn't, but we don't, that's part of the.
What are we missing?
You know, most other townships have a policy like this in place, so
We'll
that
write a
situation-
policy up to the point of us deciding who our elected supervisor is. And when we have a supervisor, what good is the policy, because he can appoint at will?
Hey Tim, can I ask you a question? What if I quit tomorrow? Are you gonna do the same thing for treasurer and just let taxes not get collected? Like, all of us have statutory responsibilities and we're supposed to function as a team.
That's right, it
Which is
boils
why
down
we
to
have the authority to
sticking with
appoint
what you
someone.
agreed to do. If you quit tomorrow, you put the township in a position, that's on you, and then we have to deal with it.
Right, it's up to the board to
To
secure
have-
the position to make sure that the township can
I
function
mean, and
appropriately.
this policy is not specific to the supervisor, this is policy
It
for
covers all positions.
all of us sitting here to say, okay, you and Lee go, you know, you're out getting some farm equipment. You guys unfortunately get in a car accident, boom, something happens to you.
Yeah, but I'm a peon, you can appoint me at will.
But the same goes.
You guys are pretty important. The supervisor is the
All
most
five of us are
important position there
important.
is.
Which is the argument to appoint for it, and then let the next normal election cover the people's choice.
And that's all it is they would be filling that gap until the next election. And that's the point of that, is this policy covers all of us, not just one position. It's to set this township up so that it can succeed and keep functioning.
I can't approve a policy that stifles the voice of the people, period. I can't do that. No matter how it's written, no matter how it's flipped and looked at, when it takes away their ability to elect their people, I can't approve nothing that says that.
Okay. And Lee, what do you feel?
I agree with Tim, because I've been talking about it and different people, and they asked, and said, yeah, we are elected by the people, by the people, for the people. And if it's gonna look like we just pick somebody we like, if we do it on our own, without them
But
having to vote into it.
That's the reason we put like scoring criteria, and that's the reason all of the meetings are open. There's public comment at the interviews. Like, there is a process for involving the public.
The final, to me, they've always had the final say.
And
So-
ultimately they do, because they.
Well,
can
I'm gonna
recall.
ask you about your past experience then. So going with that, so then you disagreed with the decisions that you guys made as previous boards when you appointed Kathy Benson, for instance, when Shirley quit. Then, with this reasoning, then that position should have went immediately to
That board-
election.
That board is gone as a whole.
But it is,
for
I'm
the
just-
reasons that I'm stating.
Well, and that's what I'm asking, is I'm just asking because obviously, you know, things have, I'm just asking for you, because you were on a board that did this. So I'm asking you from your
I think they should
experience.
be put out so the people can vote on who they want. Like I said, that board done a lot of things that weren't always right, I didn't always agree with them.
And that's what I'm asking, is because obviously, like I
been
said,
through it
you've
with
been,
multiple
you've been through multiple positions, so that's why
They should,
I'm asking.
there's not a thing, it's up to us to, we can go through and select who we think's the best candidates, who's qualified, but it should be up to the people to vote which ones they want. Because that's what we
Well, at
heard
that
about.
point, we
Well, you
wouldn't-
pick them because you wanted them, we didn't have a say in it. So, yeah, I've heard that side.
And that's
You
what I
picked
want
who
to
you
know.
wanted, we didn't have a say in it, that's,
Well, this doesn't stifle who can apply.
yeah. But
I mean, this just
But they'll
says
be
that-
back, even some people say, you picked who you wanted, we didn't have a vote into it. That's what you're saying there, that we did, we done it without.
Well, no, that's what
We had a
I'm
right to vote
asking
on it.
is how did you feel about that when that happened? So, I mean, like I said, 'cause you've been through that, did you feel that it should have
That's why I
been
know I'm
different?
saying now, because I've learned a lot through that whole process, all the crap we went through.
What I'm hearing is you guys are just, it appears to me that you're afraid that if you make a decision on a specific person, because again, that is also public too, when we vote on who we
Yeah.
elect, that you guys are afraid of public backlash on that opinion.
No. I'm not afraid of any public backlash. What I will not do is take away their voice of their elected leaders, that's it. It doesn't matter who gets appointed, as long as this township approves of it, period. Everybody has to be involved in that decision, especially when it's the supervisor of the town. It's their supervisor, the guy that's supposed to be running the show.
Well, running the meetings, yeah.
Running the show.
No.
He's supposed to be running the town.
Just running the meetings.
No, just running the meetings. If you look at the statutory duties, all 5 of us are equal.
That's right, we're all involved in the same thing, but still, the supervisor is an elected. If the supervisor has the power to appoint at will, when it comes to the planning commission and everybody else, you don't have that authority, but the supervisor sure as hell does. And when he's appointing these people, he's running the town.
So planning commission is more important than taxes or bills or, see
The
what you're
planning
saying,
commission
they
is
don't
important
run
on
the
an equal
show
basis because they write our laws.
But we ultimately vote on them because we.
together as a
Absolutely.
board.
But together as a board, they give us recommendations, and then we vote on them. But I guess that's a moot point, because the supervisor appoints, but he also has to have our approval for those appointments.
Take away the part that we approve the person, and I'll approve this, but I'm not gonna approve this language. I mean, you can put it to a vote right now, my vote's no.
That's why he goes to court for like that cleanup stuff, he's responsible for all that. He's kind of the voice of the
Well,
township,
yeah, so
represents them.
maybe it's worth reading the statutory duties of the supervisor. Moderating township board meetings, must be familiar with Robert's Rules of Order, serving as the chief assessing officer, so that means he is Amanda's oversight in our township, acting as legal agent for the township, so attending legal proceedings with the court, ensuring compliance with township policies and state regulations, developing the township budget in coordination with the board, and overseeing day-to-day operations. So those things are a lot of things to not have in place for 8 months to have a special election. Like, it's our job to make sure that there's continuity so that the people have a chance to speak at the next scheduled election. Like, that is built into Michigan law.
So I guess then I'm going to make a motion that we
You
adopt.
can also appoint a interim supervisor till the voting process is done. You can put it out for a vote,
So you're saying appoint someone and then also host a special election?
yep, we can, so someone calls the chair, supervisor's chair, they can be responsible for this, and we can put the vote out there, and that'll give us time to get people come in, wanna apply for it, get the voting thing set up, and then they can have a say. At the same time, we'll appoint somebody to be the supervisor, interim supervisor for it. That way both bases are covered. We can't be accused of handpicking who we want,
I can agree with that.
and the people have who we think's the most qualified at the time, and their names can be on the ballot, for the official ballot too. And if it applies, they can be on the official ballot. Unless, just have special election just for supervisor, that way the people do have a right to say. And if they're happy with the job they're doing, they can vote and stay in.
If
Excuse me,
they,
they can vote the person to stay in, not him or her, either one, I should correct that.
but, so what you're saying is we as a board could take applications, appoint somebody to do the interim, but still hold a special.
let 'em
You would
know
like-
that the
You would still like to
interim-
hold a special election, which I would have to contact the county, cause I'll have to find out,
And put it right out there that this is interim
Because it
until
would
we
have to
get
be in
official
November.
vote.
I believe. I believe
I
we've
don't
already,
even consider we have special elections, so.
well, we've already missed the deadline for hosting a August election. That's why I'm saying that, because the deadlines for that were in April, which literally just this week. So I would have to find out exactly what entails with all that, cause I've never ran a special election that was for specifically the township.
Or, I wonder if we can.
We can, but like I said, it costs last time I asked about it and we were talking about it, this was a year and a half ago at a clerk's meeting, was between $4,500 and $5,500 is what the costs were because of,
That's better than I thought it was gonna be, honestly.
well, but like I said, I'm saying that because that's just a loose, I don't know if that's the exact amount, because I don't know what it costs for us to have, the county has to, certain steps to do, that we have to pay for all of it. So I'm just giving it as a loose one, it could be 8,000, I don't know. Because again, I've never called for one, so I don't know all of the costs involved with it. But that is something I will absolutely explore and get the information from the county.
And just throwing out there for public knowledge, if we did this the standard way written, in MCL, it would be, we appoint somebody now, and that person would serve the role until November of 2026, when the next scheduled election cycle is. The next required election cycle for it.
And next April is the deadline to
Correct.
apply for anybody wanting to run on the midterm ballot, which would be in the November, in August of 26 on the primary, and then the general election is November of 26. So, with that being said, I would also have to ask, because if we hold a special election, I don't know how that works, if that means that they are only elected from, say, this November, if it's only a year, or if it is for the full term
Until 2028.
until 2028. I am not sure what those timelines are, because I'm not sure how it is written in statute.
That'd be
at
good
this time.
knowledge to have. How long?
Again,
If we hold a special election, does it run up to 28?
well, and that's the thing, is, does it then negate the midterms?
Sure, I bet it
Because
does.
it might, or it might not. I mean, I'm not sure.
Let's find that out specifically, and then we have a meeting coming up in a couple weeks. And if we have that knowledge, maybe we can make a better decision then.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why I sent this stuff out at the beginning of the week. I was hoping some of these questions could have come, and I could have had those answers here today. But I didn't know anybody was having those thoughts, or else I could have called the county and,
It happened fast, and I didn't see Lee's angle, and I like it.
so, what do we want to do in the meantime then? Do we want to, Lee, do you want to make a motion to go ahead and put out a posting
Yeah,
and,
we should be posted out so they have so much time to put it in.
And receive applications.
Yep, and then we can
well,
go over
then,
it,
look at
pick
the,
an interim supervisor, with the idea that we're gonna have a special election too, so the people can select a supervisor.
so, you guys have the posting right here. Is this sufficient? Do you want any
Yeah.
different wording
Yeah.
in it?
No,
And do you
posting
like
is
the
sufficient.
deadline that is listed on there?
Yes. The deadline is what?
May 9th.
May 9th.
At 3 p.m.
So if anybody wants to be the supervisor of Maple Valley Township, they have to put it in by May 9th.
They would have to submit
And there's
the
a
letter of interest, and there's an application, and once we put it online, that stuff will be,
letter
on
of
there.
interest in this application form, right?
yes. And if optional, if they'd like to submit a resume, they're more than welcome to,
Okay.
if they would like to. So what is the motion on the table then? Cause I wanna make sure that I have it
Put the posting out
to post.
with the deadline.
Okay, and is this going to be?
Board will select an interim supervisor. Have a vote where the public can choose their supervisor. To me, that's the only fair way to do it.
In the interim, we had a deputy supervisor.
No, she is not this deputy supervisor.
Well, we had one.
We did, yes.
Is she interested?
But as soon as that person resigns, the deputy goes with them.
I understand. Is she
So-
interested?
We'd have to ask.
Yeah. I mean, we had a deputy appointed by our old supervisor. On the interim, that's a pretty easy choice. That'd be a question for Julie.
Mhm. Okay, so Lee, your motion is to post the job with the deadline for an interim supervisor and to also hold a special election for the position. Which that's, information would be determined once we get all the information from the county. Do we have a second for this motion?
I'll support it.
Okay, all in favor?
Right?
Aye. Okay, hold on.
Can you restate the motion, please?
Yes. I can. Okay, the motion is to post the supervisor appointment job listing for an interim supervisor and to also hold a special election for the position. Once we've did, you know, and I'll add the
Candidates
caveat.
that meet all the criteria, yeah.
So to hold a special election for the position, which I would have to get, I'll have to get all the information from the county of what that does. So,
Can I ask you a clarifying question?
yes,
If we get information back from the county on what the requirements are for the special election, will we be voting again to host the election?
we're gonna have to, because that's gonna have to be a completely separate motion, because that's going to involve township financials.
Okay, that's, I just wanted to clarify.
The big question on the table in my mind is, can this be all the way to 28?
Well, but that's part of the clarifying information we'll have to have is, number
Yeah.
one, the cost involved and what the term is, and so that we know what we're doing going forward.
I know it drags it out, but it's only more, that's the only fair way to do it for the people of the town. Like I said, yeah, we done that, we took status because we're all favored to, you vote who you want, we had nothing to say about it. This way, they can't come back.
Okay.
That's what we did.
So the motion on the table is to post the job posting with the deadline for an interim supervisor to also hold a special election for the position. I'm gonna, okay, all in favor, Lee,
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Yes, Booth and Knapp, yes. No nays.
I know it drags it out, a lot of hassle, but to me, it's the only fair way for the people of the township.
Motion
And we're
carries.
sitting here supposed to be doing it for them, so.
Okay, well, that is, I mean, we covered the two things under new business, cause they were the policy and basically the posting is what we voted on. We did not vote on the policy.
I think we need to revisit the policy though, because I think it's something important for liability purposes that we have on our books.
Sure.
Thank you,
So I
Tim
guess
and
if
Lee.
you'd like to, you guys would like to do any suggestions and look at the policy and come up with anything else that you'd like, or what your changes would like to be, we can put that on the May
Yes.
agenda, just
Put
if
this
you'd
right
like
on
to
the agenda.
send changes that you'd like, and I can get versions ready
Very well.
so that everyone can, look them over prior to the meeting,
That would be great.
so. All right, well, at this time, I will accept a motion for adjournment.
I support that, or so moved.
Support.
Yeah.
Y'all can eliminate your problem if you go to the person that run against Dan and appoint him as a supervisor. That's precedent's been set in the state of Michigan. So you can appoint the person that run against Dan, and he got votes from the people. He is the one that should be next in line for the supervisor's
We
job.
can hand you that authority.
Huh?
You can have that authority. Put him in if you want.
But then you don't have to have the special election. You guys can put him in
That's
as a
just-
supervisor,
That's a small number of voices. I want everybody's voice.
you know?
That's the American way, buddy.
Well, it's
Thank you
also the
for
way
attending this
that the
morning.
state has done it. They've also done it that way.
Motion to adjourn is done and seconded and supported, and all in favor?
All right.
Thank you.